paying attention here. So, order of operations, that's just the order that you simplify an expression. The order in which you must simplify an expression correctly. So, a lot of different teachers use different little things to help you remember the order that you should first simplify things. So this is just one that many of you have probably heard before. How many of you have heard, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally? Yeah, many of us, right? If not, I mean, there's other little things that teachers use. So this just helps you simplify in the correct order. So please, that just means we simplify anything with parentheses first. So please stands for parentheses. See right here? There's parentheses. So what you see when you look at parentheses, you look at those and say, I got to look inside those and do everything in there first. Does everybody understand? Then excuse. After that, so that stands for exponent. Then you'll look and see if there's any exponents. That's the next thing you've got to simplify in that order. Everybody understand? Okay, so exponents. So 2 squared would be 2 times 2, right? Everybody, which would be 4. So we would simplify that next. Then my dear, that's multiplication and division. Now, even though it says my dear, order doesn't matter for this. Multiplication or division go hand in hand. They're equal in simplification. You can do division first and then multiply, or multiply then division. They're both the same. So parentheses first, then you pick your exponents. You'll go through and multiply or divide anything that's divided or multiplied. So my dear, and then Aunt Sally. So then we'll go through, and the last step we'll do is add and subtract anything that's left over to be added and subtracted. Now, addition and subtraction, you can do, it's the same as multiplication and division. There's not, you can add first or you can subtract first. It doesn't matter. Does everybody understand? They're equal. Okay, so looking at this, for example, this is addition and subtraction, correct? Look. So we just talked about how not one or the other is more correct than the other. So watch. Let's do the addition first and then subtract. So 3 plus 2 is 5. Oh, sorry. 5. So 5. And then we have minus 1. So now we'll subtract. So we added first, now subtract, we get 4, correct? Let's go the other way. So watch. Let's say we subtracted first. What's 2 minus 1? 1. So that would be 3 plus 1, which is 4. So do you see how it really didn't matter with addition and subtraction order? Let's do this one. 6 divided by 3. Let's do division first. What's 6 divided by 3? 2. And then we have 2 times 2, which is 4. Let's do it the other way. Wait a minute. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Multiplication and division. But that's not going to work, right? Because 6 divided by 6, what am I not thinking of? 6 divided by 6 is 1. They're not the same. So what the heck am I not thinking of? Did we mess up somewhere? Well, my dear should be the same. You know what I mean? Multiplication and division should be interchangeable. Why am I losing my mind here? Let me think for just 2 seconds. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 3 times 2 is 4. So then we did 6 divided by 3 times 2 is 6. What the heck am I missing here? So let's look at this example. We're going to come back to that. I know it's going to hit me here in a second. Okay, so look at 1A on the note. Okay, so go to your notes. Let's go through and simplify this. So remember that what you do is you focus in your parentheses first. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So everybody look at your parentheses. Oh, you see parentheses, so you got to focus inside first. Everybody good? So let's focus on the inside, right here. So now you're going to have to show your work. I will require you to show your work for this. So what comes first, subtraction or multiplication? Multiplication. So let's all focus right here. What's 5 times 2? 10. So I'm going to go like this, and that is 10. Correct, everybody? So let's continue to simplify. 15 minus 10 is 5. So we have a 5 right here. Does everybody understand? So we have 5 divided by 3, correct? Plus 6. Now here's my question for you. What comes first, addition or division? Division, right? Dear Aunt Sally, it's okay. So now from here, what I really want you to do, because we're just making sure we can do things pretty easily. Graphing calculator, do you all have one out? Those of you that have one, you'll literally just type in. So I'm going to show you how to use your calculator for this. Let's start with this example off your worksheet here. I'm just going to use this now for your own down, which is kind of annoying. Okay, so parentheses first. So focusing on that, 3 plus 1 is 4, right, everybody? 4 cubed minus 10 divided by 2. So rewrite the problem. Okay, now exponents come next. Parentheses, excuse. So please excuse. So exponent comes next. So you'll type into your calculator. You should have at least, do you not even have like have your phone at least or something? Okay, so what I want you to know is if you don't have a graphing calculator, you can literally just type out 4 times 4 times 4. That's what 4 cubed means, right? So we get what? Okay, so we have 64. So I'm going to cross that out and rewrite it as 64. So we have 64 minus 10 divided by 2. Now we're not going to make the mistake of thinking now we're just going to go for it and do it like a book and just go down the line. That is not true. What comes first, division or subtraction? Division. So what we're looking at is 10 divided by 2. This section is 10 divided by 2. So we're really dealing with 64 minus 5. So now you'll take your calculator, 64 minus 5, what do we get? 59 would be our final answer. Any questions on that? I would expect you to show work, so you should be writing this down, following me through this. Okay, here's our next one. 4 times 6 plus 2 minus 6 minus 1. So parentheses first, walk me through this. 4 times 8, very good. Now multiplication comes next, correct? What is that? So we have 32, we should be showing our work, minus 6 minus 1. Now subtraction, we can do it just right down the line. So you'll do 32 minus 6 minus 1. 26 minus 1 is 25, right, everybody?
Oh, I think 6 minus 1.
And that's totally fine. So wouldn't that be 32? So that's here's what we got to just remember. Good point. This is negative 6 minus 1, right?
Oh, yeah.
Good point, though. You could do that. Negative 6 minus 1 would be minus 7. So we could also do 32 minus 7, right? So we get 25. Good. All right, let's do this next one. So getting a little bit trickier here. 4 minus parentheses 5 times 2 divided by 2 plus 3. First thing we do is parentheses. Please excuse. So parentheses first. So let's rewrite the problem. 4 minus, what is that? 10 divided by 5. Everybody golden.
Yeah.
You're doing great. Now division comes next, so let's rewrite the problem. 4 minus 2, correct, everybody? Which would be 2. So pretty simple. Alrighty. Getting a little bit more advanced.
I got it.
Okay, awesome. And you'll just have to remind me sometimes if I start going too fast, you say, oh, can you go back a slide 1 second? I don't understand. You'll have to ask questions. Okay, next one is 9 divided by 2 times negative 1 minus 1 cubed. This one is a little bit trickier. So say to yourself, please, is there any parentheses? Yeah, but do you see how there's nothing to do in the parentheses? Okay, yeah, so parentheses, you'll simplify what's in the parentheses. Isn't that already simplified? Nothing to do with that. Okay, perfect. Let's move on. Excuse. So exponent comes next. Do you see any exponents? Okay, so what you're going to do is rewrite the problem. 9 stays the same. We haven't done anything with that yet. 2 and negative 1. We still haven't done anything with that. Then we have minus. Now we're going to take care of this piece. 1 to the third power is? No, wait. Remember that 1 to the third power means 1 times 1 times 1. 1. Good. Yep. Awesome. That's good. No, we're doing good. This is why we're here. So let's now you'd say to yourself, what comes next? So exponent here, multiplication and division. So multiplication comes first. So it's that. Yep. So we have 9. Rewriting the problem. 9 over negative 2 minus 1. Now this one is almost kind of like a trick question because here's the thing. A lot of people say, well, division comes next. But here's the thing. Do you see how negative 2 and minus 1 is all on bottom? We've got to focus and simplify bottom and simplify top first and then divide. Does that make sense? So we wouldn't divide next because isn't 9 divided by both of those? Like isn't 9 divided by both of those? So we've got to just take care of this bottom first. Does that make sense a little bit? Okay, so let's rewrite what the bottom is. We have a 9 over, yeah, perfect, negative 3. And now we can divide. So we took care of making sure we simplified the top and the bottom, and then we'll go ahead and divide. So our final answer is negative 3. Good. You guys are doing great. Okay, let's go on to the next one. How about you guys do you guys want to keep going through this, or do you feel confident enough to go for it? give it a try. What's it hurt? The worst it could be is wrong, and then we'll go through it together. So give it a try. And like I said, the worst is that you be wrong, and then we learn from it. And it's not like I'm going to call you out in front of everybody. So let's just give it a try, then we'll go through it together. Okay, so there was a lot to think about with this one. So first of all, parentheses comes first. So let's just focus on this parentheses. So 2 minus 1 is 1 squared, correct? Writing this down, guys. You should be taking notes. And then we have plus negative 6. So I'm just rewriting the problem. And then in parentheses here, so minus, what is in here? This is probably the hardest part. So this is negative 4 minus negative 2. So parentheses in here, nothing simplified. So negative 4 minus negative 2. Holy cow, I really screwed up a second ago, didn't I? So look, when you minus a negative, or just type it into your calculator, negative 4 minus negative 2. But what happens is that becomes a positive. But just type it into your calculator. Negative 4 minus negative 2, what do we get? Not quite, right? Negative 4 plus 2. I feel like they were putting... Oh, that's not a negative 4. I wrote down the original problem right, didn't I? Freak, I'm royally screwing up. This is just 4, right? So isn't this 6 over 3? And then minus 5. Yeah, we got it right. We got it right. I just wrote down the wrong problem up here. Yeah, I have the answer. Yes. Okay, so now what we're looking at. So does everybody understand 6 over 3? Okay? Yeah? Everybody? Okay. So now 6 over 3 is, so 2 minus 5 is negative 3. So let's rewrite the problem. 1 squared is 1 plus negative 6 minus negative 3. So you can just type that into your calculator, and it looks like we're going to be at 1 minus 6 is negative 5 plus 3. Did I mess up again? No. Yeah, so we are good, right? We haven't messed up here? Sorry, so I said yes to your negative 8 because I was seeing it in my head. And like I said, I never try to do it in my head because I'll be wrong. So negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. That one was a really kind of tricky one. But that's why we're here, is to make mistakes. So we're good. Questions on that? I bet. Did that help a little bit? That was hard though. Like that one was hard. I messed up like 10 times over there because I went too fast. So just go slow. So negative 4 times 3 plus, I'm just writing down, let's all make sure I write down the correct original problem because a second ago I didn't, and then I threw everybody off and it wasn't a very smooth. Okay, good question. So this means absolute value, which just means whatever you have inside becomes positive. So do you see how this is positive 2? It just stays positive 2. If it was negative 2, you'd put positive 2. That's just what absolute values do, because absolute values technically means distance, but we won't get into it. You'll just remember that. Okay, so how about you guys give this one a try by yourselves? And once again, the worst thing that could happen is that we'd be wrong and it would all be... We ready to go through it? So parentheses come first, and then we focus on the absolute value 2, which just means 2. It means positive. And then we have plus, that squared is... Negative 2 squared is negative 2 times negative 2, which is 4. Does everybody see how I got that?
Yeah.
And then we put our parentheses back in. So we got to keep simplifying in our parentheses, so that's going to become a 6, correct? So we just took care of that, and that became, and it's plus 6, right?
Yeah.
And then we have negative 4 times 3, multiplication comes before addition, so negative 12 plus 6 is negative 6. Okay, questions, are we good? Okay, awesome. So what I'm going to have you do is go to your worksheet. This is your homework worksheet, which we do in class. And you're going to do problems 1 through 6. And I promise next time I'll have the correct lesson and be more prepared. No, I'm sorry, 1 through 10. And then you're going to check them with me. Me?
No, wait.
Back? Do you want me to go back?
I think I messed up. A negative 2 times squared. Would that still be a negative?
No, it's positive, because negative 2 squared really means this. Negative 2 times negative 2. A negative times a negative is a positive.
Oh, it's the same one.
Yes. And we'll always have to remember to think of it like
I
that.
did that wrong.
That's okay.
I did a negative 2 times.
It just takes time to remember that that's anything negative squared is a negative times the negative, which will be positive. Right. Okay, you're going to your homework worksheet and doing 1 through 10 and checking with me. So, go to your notes. If you're not done, that's really okay. Just stick with me in class. That's what really matters. So, look at number 2A. Now, I really feel bad because really my lessons are usually so elaborate and I've thought them out and I did, but then it's the wrong worksheet. So, I don't really have very good notes, but you have learned this before a little bit. So, here's one thing we got to remember. So, go to your room. Okay. So what we're doing is we're solving. Now I want you to look and compare. So look at your 1.1, look at problems number 1 versus number 2. Do you see how on number 1 there's no equal signs versus below where there's equal signs? So what we're doing with these ones is we're solving. So there's an equal sign, so this is an equation. So we're going to actually solve for x. Where above we're just simplifying. There's nothing to do besides simplify. Like there's no equal sign. So what you do is you're solving for x. Now, what you're doing is we're trying to get x alone, and we're going to do this in the correct order. So first of all, what I always do is multiply. Yes? Yeah, basically. It's just a little different. So we're trying to get x alone, but let's just do some examples. We'll go really slow, and then you'll say, oh, I see how it does relate. So first of all, yes, we would multiply before we subtract. So yes. What we're going to do is it's 2 times all that stuff. Now, this is where people make mistakes. They won't make sure to distribute. It's 2 times all of that. So we've got to make sure to multiply 2 to this. So what's 2 times negative 6? Good. So we're going to have negative 12x for that piece. Is everybody comfortable? Then 2 times positive 4 is also here. So what's 2 times positive 4? Positive 8. So do you see how because it's positive 8, I put plus 8? So now look, I just simplified that piece. And now let's rewrite in what we have left. So everybody, I'm showing my work. I still have minus 8x, and that equals 168. Is everybody clear? We're going to go a little bit slow at first. So now what you're going to say is, I don't want multiple x's. So I'm going to combine like terms. Now notice, over here, we're going to combine all like terms, and over here, we're going to combine all like terms. So over here we have negative 12x minus 8x. How many x's does that give us? Negative 12 minus 8 more. So that's negative 20 x's, correct guys? If you're in debt $12 and then you take out a loan for another $8, you're in debt $20, right? You gotta watch out for those negatives. Is anybody confused why when I added those two together, it became negative 20x? Yeah, we're combining like terms. So an apple plus an apple is 2 apples. Negative 12 apples minus 8 apples is negative 20 apples. Does that make sense? You shouldn't be adding because isn't it subtracting? Yeah. Okay. Now we still have plus 8. So I'm going to write that. On the left side of the equation is equal to 168. So now that you've combined all like terms on this side of the equation and nothing like all like terms over there, you're literally just trying to get x all by itself. Now you have to go in the correct order. So with this one, with trying to get x alone, our first step would be to subtract 8 from both sides of the equation, right? So we're going to subtract 8. Subtract 8. Now watch. Make sure it simplifies correctly. So over here we have negative 20x still, because we didn't do anything with that. So look, negative 20x, I kind of cross it out as I go. Positive 8 minus 8 becomes 0. So we took care of it correctly. Do you see how I can check to make sure I got rid of 8 correctly? And that equals 168 minus 8, which is 160. Now what undoes multiplication? Division, right? So now because we're trying to get x alone, and this is negative 20 times x, divide both sides of the equation by negative 20. So we would say x equals negative 8. Questions? Okay, let's do another example. Here we go, 2b. So, parentheses does come first, but do you see how we have 1 plus 7b, and there's nothing, we can't combine them, correct? This is 2b on your notes. So we can't combine 1 plus 7b. Okay, so what comes next? Multiplication. So it's negative 5 times all that stuff. So we're going to distribute. Add through. Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. Negative 5 times positive 7b is negative 35 b's, correct? Negative 5 times 7b is negative 35 b's. That's equal to negative 5 minus 5b. Now take my suggestion, everybody. Focus on this side and combine all like terms. There's nothing we can combine, correct? Focus on this side, combine all like terms. There's nothing we can combine. So now you move on to the next step, which is let's combine all of our variables and like terms together. So let's get our variables together. Now you can't, do not just float them together. You've got to use algebra to move from this side of the equation to this side. So why don't we move this over this way? Why not, right? We can go either way. We could add 5b, and you're going to see why I'm going to go the other way. But you wouldn't be wrong. You'd be right. We'll just go wrong. You can do that. Do you want to do it that way? Okay. So let's add 5b to both sides of the equation. Does everybody understand why I'm adding 5b? So now focus on this side and write what we have left over. You still have negative 5, look. Negative 5, add straight down, and we get minus 30b's, correct? Look, don't we? And that's equal to, now on this side we have, add straight down, we still have a negative 5. And on this side we have 0, correct? 0 b's? Yeah. For the 5s? Do you guys see what I did there? Okay, now you say to yourself, yay, I only have one variable. My goal at this point is to get b all by itself. So my next step will be to get b alone using correct algebra. This is negative 5. How do we get 5 over to the other side? Good, so we're going to add 5 to both sides of the equation. So now we're going to add straight down. 0, we're good, we took care of it correctly. So we have negative 30, b is equal to 0. Then we're trying to get b alone. This is negative 30 times b. What undoes multiplication? Division. Good, so we'll divide both sides by negative 30, divide by negative 30. So we have b is equal to, because that became a 1, 0 divided by negative 30 is 0. So not too shabby. Okay, a couple more examples. All right, so 2c. So let's go through this one. Nothing we can combine in there, so we're going to distribute negative 2 through. So let's go a little bit quicker through this one. Negative 2 times 7 is negative 14. The negative 2 times positive 5n is negative 10n's. We just took care of that side. Is equal to 28 plus 4n. Then once again, focus on this side, combine all like terms. There's nothing to combine, nothing to combine. So now you say to yourself, I need to combine my variables. So how are we going to combine these? Which way do you want to go? Do you want to bring 10n over? And
4.
You do? You guys like dealing with negatives. I like dealing with positives. That's fine. That's not wrong. So let's subtract. You're saying we'll subtract 4n. Subtract 4n. So now make sure you're careful here. Add straight down. We still have negative 14 from that. And now right here, you got to subtract correctly. Isn't that minus 14n's? And that's equal to, over here we have 20. So we're adding straight down. We have 28 and then 0. Okay, and then remember, you're saying to yourself, what's your goal? Your goal is to get n completely by itself. So let's get n alone by adding 14 first, right? So careful here, don't make any sign errors. That's negative 14n's equals, divide by negative 14. So n is equal to negative 3. I think you guys are good with those. Okay, so what I'm going to have you do is go to your worksheet. I'm going to have you practice the ones that practice problems 11 through 18. Actually, what you're going to do is you're going to be able to finish the worksheet. The rest of the time is yours. You have 20 minutes to finish the worksheet in class and hand it in. No, you finish it in class and hand it in. If you all